Welcome. I'm Halcyon, and this is Hug Nation. What a treat to connect with you once again. As always, I will share some thought, lesson, idea that has been impacting me. The lesson or topic of the week is usually something that I need to hear. So, in essence, I'm speaking to myself, which works well because, in essence, we are all one. And I'm experiencing this divine oneness through the experience of me. And so I get to go through all of these exciting struggles and challenges for the first time over and over and over again, just as we all do. The fun thing about a path of growth is that it is not linear. It is not progressive. We do not learn how to let go of something and then never pick it back up again. We don't forgive someone and then never feel the resentment again. And so it's like have amnesia and getting to watch your favorite movies over and over again. The spiritual path is often one of learning the same things over and over again. So even though I've been doing this every week for 15 years or so, I continue to surprise myself with how much I have forgotten. That is really the experience of being a human. Remembering and forgetting, remembering and forgetting, remembering your divine perfection, forgetting and thinking that you suck, remembering that we're all connected, forgetting and being angry at your neighbor, remembering to be grateful, forgetting and cursing your circumstances, remembering that it's always about you, forgetting and blaming those around you and the environment and your history. So thank you for joining me as we get a chance to get back into the cycle of remembering and forgetting, hopefully giving ourselves more and more forgiveness along the way, more and more appreciation of the fun of it. You know, it's like getting onto a ride at Six Flags or Universal Studios or Magic Mountain. You don't get to the end of it and never want to ride the ride again. It's fun the next time too. Every time you go, whee! Of course, if you think that you're actually in a runaway train, it's not nearly as fun. So let's remember that we're here on this journey of learning and forgetting and remembering because it's so rich. This is the ride we've been asking for. Whee! And with that, let us begin. I'll take a deep breath and get grounded. Welcome everyone who is here live. Welcome everyone who is listening to or watching the archive on YouTube or through Stitcher or through iTunes or Facebook. Or if this is an archive that has been unearthed after years of Arctic freezing and some future species is going through the digital archives that have been found on the Facebook servers, or maybe my hard drive. If you're looking at this from my hard drive, then most of those nude pictures were an art project about overcoming shame, and those should not be shared beyond this scientific expose of what was on the hard drive of one human being during the collapse of civilization. Are we clear on that? Is that fair? Okay, however, if you are watching this live or listen to the archive during my lifetime, welcome! Welcome to Hug Nation. I'm Halcyon. I go by John Halcyon because sometimes I feel flamboyant and vibrant and like I want to be on top of a speaker and have a microphone, and that's when I'm Halcyon. And sometimes I am quiet and humble and just want to be John. I answer to both. I feel like I am both. Today, let us simply be. Oh, should I begin? Did I say we were going to begin? Let us begin. Today, I want to talk about commitment and accountability. I know that over the past many years, I have preached the mantra of love more, fear less, float more, steer less. And so the idea of floating more seems very contrary to making commitments and discipline. And at times it can be. However, there is a time and place to make commitments and have accountability regardless of how you're feeling and floating. In fact, that is really the difference in terms of getting to where you want to be via a long-term floating and going with the flow and working with the currents versus a short-term just bobbing and getting bashed against the rocks and not really tuning into a larger sense of flow. See if I can try to explain that better. I heard a Tony Robbins talk years ago where he talked about the difference between doing what you feel like doing versus doing what you have committed to doing. And this was really kind of knocked me out of my very, whoa, go with the flow, float more kind of narrow idea of what floating meant. Because if you are in the short-term flow, short-term floating, then, and just simply doing what you feel like doing in that moment, you are governed by a very limited part of yourself and your personality. In the now moment, I feel like scratching that rash. However, my higher self knows that that's a bad decision and that's a long-term pain point and will cause additional suffering. So I don't want to float in the pure moment of now and scratch and cause the rash to cover my entire body, stemming from the initial groin region all the way. I'm sorry, this isn't based on a personal experience. I'm just saying theoretically, if I had a rash around my joint, my joint slash groin, my join. Or, you know, in the moment, I feel like eating this fourth piece of cake. But my higher self knows that that would cause me, not soon after that, discomfort and pain. And long term, it might not give me the feeling of health that causes me to a deeper sense of contentment and self-satisfaction and self-appreciation of the body. So it's that balance between what I want right now and what I know when I sit with it, what I want greater. So I think it's almost this, you have to see it as these two selves. The higher self that can kind of take a step back, look over the horizon and go, okay, the current is going over here. I want to be that person over there. I feel drawn to be that kind of person. I feel drawn to be in that direction. So then when in the now moment, when there's like a shiny rock that's right next to the rock, you know, you're gonna bash into, you go, okay, I get that this is in this moment, that's what it feels like I should float towards, but I also know that there is a current that this is not going to contribute to that direction. And so when you can make commitments and agree to the commitments, you can find a way to bypass the immediate desire in that moment, you know, the short-term pleasure versus long-term pleasure. And I've had a few times in my life when this has really kind of come to fruition. Right now I'm doing a 30-day yoga challenge, Yoga with Adrian on YouTube. It's a free thing. And I'm in like day 25. And it's been making the commitment to myself to do it has allowed me to have this very brief argument/conversation with myself when I don't feel like doing it. Even to the point of, I've been at a social event where I was renting an Airbnb with a bunch of people, and it was getting close to be midnight and I had not done it. And I started to go, well, you know, I guess maybe I'll skip some days because this is a special occasion. And I was like, you know, that's my now moment, scratch the itch part of myself talking. And then my higher self's like, wait a minute, why not? Why not just it's going to take 20 minutes, go find an area of the house that's not being used and do it. You don't even have to do it great. Just have to honor your commitment. And short term, I will be relieved of that argument and tension between these two parts of me. I can feel good. And long term, I will know that I'm contributing towards this long-term goal that I know that I want to be on the other side of. I know, not know just intellectually, but like my spirit, my inner heart wants me to be at the end of this longer path. There was a time when I was struggling with, I wanted to write a book. And so I committed to doing so with the help of a coach, with Jesse Gross. And part of the process of working with him was committing to certain practices So every morning, actually, we decided together what my commitments would be. And I decided that I think 5 days a week, I would write for 30 minutes or more before I looked at the internet. And every day when I woke up and I was sleepy and tired, I wanted to just go onto Facebook and scroll as I was waking up. But my higher self knows that that practice bleeds into this day-long wandering and meandering of wasting time. And if I was ever going to write this book, I had to commit to some practices that was contrary and to what I felt like doing in the moment. Now, some things that I added to that for that practice, for that experience, was I added one, a coach. I hired someone to have accountability to. And I paid that person a degree of money that was uncomfortable to me. So I felt like if I couldn't afford to be negligent in my commitments. And that was a new experience for me. I'd had coaching experiences and contracts with coaches in the past where I didn't pay very much. Partially, I wasn't comfortable paying that much, and they were trying to help me out. And unfortunately, those experiences fizzled out, and I did not reach the destination that I wanted to get to. I didn't have enough of a commitment, and I didn't have enough of an accountability bonus of that kind of, if I don't do it, I will lose that money. If I don't do it, I will not feel good, for some health practice. If I don't do it, my back won't get any better, and I won't be able to have the kind of athletic or sexual experiences I want. If I don't do it, I will blah, blah, blah. Some kind of carrot or stick that not everybody needs, but often we need. You can simply get into a practice of honoring your commitments without any carrot or stick, just knowing that it feels so good to honor it. And so at the end of 6 months of writing every morning, I had a first draft of a book. So commitment plus time equals achievement. What? But you got to put all those things in place. You can't just commit to writing a book. You got to commit to a practice that then you can follow, and then have accountability in some way to keep you on track. And maybe something in there of what to do when you stumble and collapse, or stumble so that you don't collapse. You don't want to make it so that if you miss a day, you are forever a failure. But you do want to make sure that you have something that feels not so great. Like if I would show up to a meeting with my coach and say I didn't do what I said I was going to do. Like he didn't whip me, he didn't yell at me, but just the fact that I had to, in that moment, come to Jesus. I had to confess that I did not do what I wanted to do. That was enough of a pain point for me to suck it up and do better and follow what I wanted to do. And so I'm a big believer in having accountability buddies or mastermind groups or some other person, people, coach group that you tell, I'm going to do this, and then you do it. And you have to tell them after, whether it's the next day or the next week or the next month, say, hey, here are all the things that I said I was going to do, remember? And here's how it all worked out. So that at least on the day before you go, oh my gosh, if I'm going to have to talk to them tomorrow, if I have to tell them that I failed myself, that's going to suck. Is that whatever discomfort I have about starting it right now, is that any worse than the discomfort of having to say, why don't I just do it? At least start. At least, okay, and then the ball's moving and you're making progress towards it. So if you want to put your toe into accountability, I just started a Hug Nation group that is linked here. I think you search for Hug Nation on Facebook, you should find it, and you can post there something that you're committed to doing. I just shared that of the yoga commitment that I have been doing, and committed that I'm going to continue doing a yoga practice after it ends. And I will plan on posting my progress, and I would love it if people would check on me or say good job. Little like mental or actual gold stars do make a difference as you start to make progress and start to kind of feel better about yourself. My lover Becca shared that she made the commitment very recently that if she gets up and is standing when the sun is up, then she does not go back to sleep. So if she gets up in the morning to go to the bathroom and the sun is up, she stays up. Or if she now puts her alarm far enough away so she has to get out of bed to turn it off. So she sets the alarm and she gets out of bed and she's standing up to turn it off, she can't go back to bed. And it was her way of creating a practice, a discipline, a commitment that would get her to the long-term destination she wanted to be. When you wake up in the morning, of course she wants to go back to sleep. Of course I don't want to do yoga. Of course I don't want to do the things that my higher, self said, oh, in the morning you should do these things that will make you happier. But in the moment, all you want to do is sleep a little bit more, do the brain dead thing, go check out the Facebook. But if the short-term me knows that later they're going to have to answer to long-term and more powerful me, then short-term me who's powerful in the moment but is not so powerful in the long-term needs to go, okay, I'm going to stay up. Okay, I'm going to do the writing. Okay, I'm going to do the stretching. I'm going to do the yoga. I'm going to, whatever the things that the commitment that you've made is. And then by claiming it and making it public, you suddenly have these, it's not just a conversation between now you and higher you, it's actually a conversation between now you, higher you, and everybody that you shared it with. So join the group or find an accountability buddy or work with a coach or find someone. I actually went to a Kyle Cease talk a couple years ago, and he had everybody make a commitment of something they wanted to do. And then he said, commit that if you don't do it, what's something terrible that you will do if you don't do it? Something that you would just dread doing. He said, like, for example, one of the examples they gave was, say if you don't meditate for 60 days straight, that you will donate, $500 to the Trump campaign, to give you an idea of when that happened. And everyone like groaning, oh, he's like, exactly. If the thought of you giving $500 to Trump is going to make your skin crawl, then when it's 11:30 p.m. and you haven't meditated, you will do it. Because sometimes now you needs incentives, carrots, sticks, something to snap out of the powerful now desire for that cake or that bed or whatever it is that your higher self has said, that's not really doing it for us. At least not on this scale and in these servings, in this frequency. I can't remember where I heard this, but I saw someone said recently that we grossly overestimate what we can get done in a year, but grossly underestimate what we can done in 3 years. And I might be messing up those numbers, but the thought that really hit me was that if you go through that commitment plus time equals achievement and think about 3 years, you can do teeny tiny things on a daily basis and end up in someplace dramatic and amazing. I made, an hour of writing, a couple hours of writing. By committing to the writing practice, I ended up writing a book. And if we can commit to something, whether it's a health change or some sort of pattern, over time, you can make great strides. Now, I'm saying that not from someone who has mastery over all of my patterns and who leads a life of discipline. Absolutely not. But I have had a couple recent successes and a couple long-term successes, and I'm speaking to myself as a representative of the human experience, which I'm pretty sure you're also having a human experience, knowing that this is a habit, this is a practice that can get us closer to our ideal self. That isn't to say that who you are now is not perfect. Absolutely, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're perfect as is. But part of the experience of being human is growth. And so if you are desiring growth, either the long-term higher self you or the short-term self that's kind of not enjoying that cake as much as you eat it, then this is a practice that can help you and me and us. So another thing that can be helpful in that practice of setting these commitments is that every time you do something difficult, like get up when you didn't want to, or say no to the dessert, or not eat after 8 o'clock, or do the stretching in the morning, every time you do the practice, you have made an investment in the future because it gets easier every time. The first time you don't do, or you do the practice you do or don't want to do, it's so difficult to change your momentum. But every time you wire your brain to make it a little easier, So even if you're like, I don't want to get in bed, you go, oh, you know what? I'm going to give a gift to tomorrow me, because it's going to be easier tomorrow if I do it right now. I'm going to give a gift to a week from now me, because if I do it today, it's going to be that much easier in a week. So give a gift to future you, which is actually a gift to the whole darn world. Thank you for being you. I love you. All right, let's do a Hug Nation hug. Let's hug and then talk about white privilege. You up for that? Dun, dun, dun. We'll see if the camera keeps working. So wherever you are, take a breath in. Grab yourself by the shoulders and take a moment to be grateful for this body. And grateful for your thoughts and the human experience you're having. And forgive yourself for getting caught up in thoughts of resentment or guilt or shame or anger, knowing that that's part of this experience. But letting go of it all now and sinking into that deeper part of yourself, deeper than your feelings and your thoughts, that is just your presence, your love, your light, the very root of your consciousness, connected to that light that shines through all beings. And we'll take 3 breaths together as part of that one connected energy. In through the nose and out through the mouth. In. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb and all the Love Warriors, happy Hug Nation. I love you. And join us here every Monday live on Facebook at 1 o'clock. Archives usually go up Tuesday on YouTube. And subscribe to the iTunes Hug Nation channel. And now join the new Hug Nation group for accountability and become a Patreon supporter. And I have too many things on this list. And really all I want to do is be your online or real life or conceptual and spiritual friend. I love you. Have a beautiful day.